Next up, we have Jim Fenton, the tie guy, although I see a couple of ties that look a lot like Jim's back there in the room as well, so this would be a tie contest, I think, here at the break. Jim, many of you may already know him, but he's, again, a consistent attendee speaker here, and we really appreciate his continued support of what we're doing. Jim is the director of the Florida Solar Energy Center. Is it director or executive director? Director. Big T's guy. He leads a staff of 140 folks in the research and development of energy technologies that enhance Florida and the nation's economy and environment, and also educates the public, students, and practitioners on the results of the research that FSEC conducts. FSEC is the nation's largest and most active state-supported renewable energy and energy-efficient research institute. In addition to his duties as FSEC's director, he leads a 12-member university and industry research team in a $19 million U.S. Department of Energy research program to develop the next-generation proton exchange membrane fuel cell automotive engine. That sounds serious. Dr. Fenton also serves as a professor in UCF's Mechanical Materials and Aerospace Engineering Department. Prior to joining FSEC, Dr. Fenton spent 20 years as a chemical engineering professor at the University of Connecticut. His research activities are in fuel cells, pollution prevention, sustainable energy, and in helping FSEC expand its nationally acclaimed research and education programs, which focus on hydrogen, alternative fuels, solar energy, and building of energy efficiency. With that, I'd like to introduce Jim. Today he's going to talk a little bit about some of the specific programs that could be implemented in Florida should an RPS pass, and he's got a particular project that he'd like to share with you as an example of that.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here again today. Tommy set a nice stage for the desire for the state of Florida to have a renewable portfolio standard. And as he's pointed out, the advantage of a renewable portfolio standard is you set a bar, a requirement that the market have so much on a percentage basis of renewable energy. And with that, then industry responds and delivers, hopefully, that goal, or, as we all hope, exceeds that goal. Without a standard such as that, there is no market. That's the key. Without a goal, there is no market. All right? If we establish that goal, we have renewable energy, we've got a cleaner environment, and so on and so forth. That in turn also generates lots of jobs. And yes, there is a cost. There's a cost with building any power plant, whether it be a renewable energy one or a non-renewable energy one. Right? And I'd like to focus on some of that today. Right? I've got a map here of the United States. You'll notice, as was pointed out earlier, John Leeds mentioned this, there are 35 states that have chosen to go green, right, along with the District of Columbia. There are a few checkerboard green states. Those are ones that have actual goals, okay, i.e. no penalties if they don't meet those goals. All right? And you'll notice in every single case there's a percentage, okay, listed next to the state's name, along with the date at which it plans on achieving that percentage. Now, Tommy Burrows also shared with you that in most cases states have sort of stepwise goals, so much percent by this year and then the next year and so on and so forth. Now, of these 35 states, most of them may have started out a little bit low. They've all raised their bar. Every single one of them has raised the bar almost every 5 years. They increase that. California is now up to 33% by 2020. Okay, that's their goal. Right? Now, some of them have carve-outs. The little yellow dot there shows you that solar hot water, okay, is indeed a mechanism of meeting the goal. The little FSEC sun symbol there shows that in some cases they actually have solar carve-outs associated with those things. The other thing you'll also notice is that there are some states that happen to be not green. Right? And you'll happen to notice that they tend to exist in the South. Okay? Now, there's a reason for that. Okay? I've taken that same map in front of you here and put the retail residential price of electricity on it. Here in Florida, we're paying about 12.3 cents a kilowatt hour now, okay, for the price of electricity. You'll notice that up in Connecticut, which is where I used to be, they're paying 20 cents for electricity. If you can find West Virginia, believe it or not, West Virginia went green. Isn't that shocking? Okay, we haven't done it in Florida, but they did it in West Virginia. West Virginia over here is at 7 cents. So think about that now. People in Connecticut pay 3 times the price for electricity as they pay in West Virginia. Now, we pay more than they pay in West Virginia. Right? Now, there's one thing I learned when I moved down here to Florida. To get to the south, you go north. Okay, and that's obviously not a geography question. But you'll notice that those southern states to our north pay less for electricity than we do. Okay? You'll also notice that Hawaii's out there at 23.8 cents. Since the price of fossil fuels has actually gone down recently, they used to be at 29 cents, and Hawaii gets its fossil fuels by boat. Okay, California's up at 15. The Pacific Northwest is around 7 or 8. They've got a lot of cheap hydroelectric. Utah's got a lot of coal. It's at 8.6, but it decided to go green too. Okay, so if you look at these things, you can see then that there's part of a reason why the South, okay, is not green. If the attitude is, if it's cheap, it ain't broke, why fix it? Well, that's part of the problem. Okay? People in Connecticut are paying a fortune for electricity, so they're looking for options. Okay? Alternative energy will always be alternative until it's cheaper. Okay? All right? Well, there's a lot of states where it's cheaper. Okay? We're at 12.5. Now, it's interesting that people will tell you that we can't afford climate change. You, the citizens of Florida, already voted for it. Okay? The reason why we're paying 12 cents compared to 10 in the other southern states is that we chose to burn clean natural gas instead of coal. And yes, in today's market, that's more expensive. So you're paying more for your energy now because we use clean natural gas and a little bit of nuclear and a few other things than those states to the north of us that burn coal. Okay? So what we're not aware of is that the price of electricity in the United States varies widely. Okay? Various policies, various reasons. All right? And as a result of that, some people are more prone to look for alternatives than others. One other thing you should notice, of all the states other than Alaska, and we can talk about Alaska too, but all the states other than Alaska, which one that's green, okay, that's not green, is the most expensive? Look carefully at the map. Right? All the states that are green, a lot of them are more expensive, some are cheaper. But the clear one that's the most expensive on here is Florida. So guess what? We're next. We will have an RPS. We will figure out that we need options and alternatives because the price of electricity out of the wall is going up. Okay? And we'll look at those options. The question is when. We'd like it all to be tomorrow. Now, one of the other things that Tommy had pointed out was that when we purchase fossil fuels, you buy something, you consume it, and it's gone. The state of Florida spends $60 billion a year on fossil fuels. After we consume them, they're gone. Now, about $30 billion of that is for transportation, gasoline. The other $30 billion is for making the electricity that we use today. None of it comes from Florida. All right, now, does anybody remember what the state's budget is? $60 billion. So we burn $60 billion. That's what we do. And then it's gone. Okay? So we ship money out of the state of Florida. That's the business we're in. All right? Now, there are states that do have coal. So West Virginia, which you notice had the cheapest electricity around there, unfortunately they have black lung disease and various other things that go along with that, but they keep all the money in West Virginia because it's their coal. Likewise with Utah and so on and so forth. You'll notice none of the states in the South keep the money at home. They like cheap prices, okay, but they ship all their money out of their boundaries because we don't make any of it here. Now, as Tommy also pointed out, Florida is the land of biomass and the sun. You should take advantage of that. I was asked to also point out, in addition to renewables, there's some other interesting opportunities that are out there for us. As we add more renewables into our electric grid, because renewables tend to be a function of time of day and so on and so forth, they are not base load power plants. that run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have issues associated with incorporating things into the grid, and so I just wanted to point that out. There's some pictures that came from the Department of Energy. If we're looking at solar or wind as sources of energy, we're putting these in through the grid. We're feeding them out to various homes and residences. And someday we may integrate our car in with our residences, and we do a systems analysis over that whole big picture because you'll be using electricity for your transportation. Okay, keep in mind, right now we think of liquid fuels as our modes for transportation. The future will be electricity even in your car.